how do you read books to your kids? And this one kind of makes me a little sad. So when I was getting prepared for college, when I was in vocational rehabilitation services through the Department of Visual Services through the state of Oklahoma, they offered me Braille classes through Hadley. Hadley is kind of an online, like, teleeducation where you can learn Braille through the mail. And I started out at first, it's hard. It's like, okay, it's not like a little hard. Like, it's really hard. It is difficult. It's not something where you're just like, oh, I feel 2 dots. Oh, I read Braille. No, it takes time. It takes dedication, just like learning anything. And I felt like I had a lot going on at the time. Now I realize it was really just a lot emotionally that made my work all feel so difficult, newly being blind. And so I wasn't keeping up very well with my Braille. And I started to just ask myself, I'm like, why am I learning Braille? Like, what am I doing this for? Like, I never use it in real life. Like, if I want to talk to my blind friends, I'm not going to make them a Braille letter. Like, I'm just going to send them a text or I'm going to give them a call. I didn't really understand what I was doing that for. And then even when it came to labeling things, they make audible labelers. So like a pen friend is an example of that. You can scan the ID tag sticker that you've placed on like a DVD and it'll say like, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, out loud to you. So I didn't really need Braille for that either. So I was just kind of a little perplexed why I needed it. And then eventually I ended up meeting my friend from the podcast season 1, episode 1, Randy Jones. He had been blind for about 40-ish years, a very long time at that point, and he never learned Braille, and he was doing just fine. So I was like, why am I doing all this work to learn all of this Braille if I'm just not going to use it in practical life? And I have noticed that's been true, except for wanting to read books to my kids. That has been the moment where I thought, maybe I should have learned Braille. Maybe I should have done that because I don't have time now, unfortunately. And that's the sad thing is I don't have time to learn Braille. I'm busy having actual kids. But there are some tricks that are really great. And I have found that kids don't know what story you're reading most of the time, especially when they're under the age of 2. So a fun little thing that has grown out of this situation between me and my daughter is she would bring me a book and then I would make up a story. And it was so funny because I was sometimes quite impressed with the stories I could make up on the spot. And she would have fun and I would have fun. And it's just a sweet memory now between the two of us that never would have happened if we weren't in this blindness situation. And then if it was a special book that I really, really liked, I would just memorize it. So right now I have the Tooth Book by Dr. Seuss memorized. I learned a little bit of the Pout Pout Fish. I really need to get that one 100% memorized because the way that it is phrased is very critical to how beautiful that book sounds. And that is another one that I need to add to my brain because it's just so cute and so adorable. And now it's one of my son's favorite books. But as far as other books exposure that we do, we have a Yoto player and it makes it's kind of like a tiny little boom box or CD player, except instead of CDs, you insert what are like debit cards. The shape are like hotel room keys. They're shaped like that. And then the boombox little player registers the ID tag inside and says, oh, this is the story Frog and Toad. And it starts to play the audio track corresponding with it. So that's been really fun for us to have since I can't actually read my children books, being blind and not knowing how to read Braille. And we have, oh my goodness, we have so many Yoto cards now with lots of stories and you can put music on them. My husband has even recorded a couple of his own cards and he's put stories of special books on there for the kids. So that's nice to put in. If someone's missing daddy, we have a card of his actual voice on there. And so that's been really enjoyable for the kids. And, you know, I still have those moments where I'm mad at myself. I'm like, why didn't I learn Braille? Like, I didn't think ahead this far. Like, that was the one thing that I probably should have learned Braille for, but it just, for me in that moment, it wasn't something I was able to make work because of everything else I was trying to handle, being newly blind and being still kind of newly married. It was difficult and it just didn't happen for me. But you know what? some good things have come out of it. Me and my kids have our special little made-up story time. We have our little audiobooks that we listen to. And you know what? Every night before bed, my husband reads them a book. And this is a very special time with our family, with Daddy reading a story. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I don't have to be the primary for everything. And, sometimes that makes me sad because I have special memories of my dad reading me fairy tales when I was a kid. And I wanted to really do that with my kids too. But you know what? There's lots of other things I get to do with my kids that are just as good and just as special.